What's up, yo? Welcome to the Young Legends podcast, where we teach you the cheat codes to the game of life. I'm your host, Caption, aka Caption Red, and I hope you're doing great wherever you are, enjoying the summer season, and also working on becoming your best self. Now, today what I want to talk to you about is overcoming your insecurities. Now, insecurities are real. Everybody has them. And here's a tip of what I do when I start feeling insecure. I go play basketball with a group of 8-year-olds and I dominate them. And then after that, it boosts my self-esteem and I feel amazing. Now, I'm just kidding. Actually, I go play a bunch of 7-year-olds. No, these are all jokes. But all kidding aside, there are things that you can do to help you to overcome your insecurities. Recently, I had David Perdue, who is a stand-up comedian, as a guest. And one of the things that he said when he's feeling insecure is he focuses on his past wins. And that's a great thing to do, to focus on things that have gone right in your life and things that you have done well or caught a W in. So with that being said, some advice I've heard is visualize yourself feeling confident. And this kind of ties back into the focusing on your past wins, where you visualize yourself doing great in a game, someone admiring your art. For me, it's those performances I have where I step off the stage and I feel really good about myself. And whenever you're feeling unconfident or insecure, visualize those things and you'll start to have those positive feelings. During the pandemic shutdown, there were times that I went to coffee shops I had performed at open mics, or other places that I had performed at, to remind myself during this time of isolation of the wins that I've had in the past. Also, stay optimistic. Believe that good things will happen for you. And I know that's easier said than done, but there are tips to do this. And I'll cover those in another episode. That's kind of a whole nother topic. But stay optimistic. Believe that your future will not necessarily be like your present or your past if those have been bad or are bad. Also, forgive people who have cast negative thoughts on you. Here's the thing. People are messed up and they cast their issues on you oftentimes. I used to mentor a kid whose mom once said to him, "I wish you were never born." And that phrase rattled around in this kid's head. But what he didn't realize is that his mom was a very broken person. She was a mom at the age of 13. She had a lot of her own issues and her own demons that she was fighting. And because of that, she cast a lot of the negativity inside of herself onto him. So forgive those who have cast insecurities over you, who have said negative things to you and made you feel less than, and also made you have like this complex and these insecurities. And again, I'm going to do a whole episode on forgiveness. I think it's a really important topic, and I will absolutely cover that at a later time. Also, focus on your self-talk. Speak to yourself like you love yourself. I've heard this said before many times in my life. The things you say to yourself, you would never say to anyone else. So focus on your self-talk. Speak to yourself positively, or if you can't do that, at least don't speak to yourself negatively. And the reality is, you can admit that you have flaws. You can acknowledge your flaws and still love yourself. You can say things like, "I'm a very forgetful person, but I'm still awesome." Or, "I have a terrible sense of direction, but I'm smart in other ways." Or, "Sometimes I take jokes too far, but I'm still a good person." And I myself, years ago, I used to be really hard on myself. And a friend of mine had to just pull me aside and say to me, "Look, you're not perfect, okay? And it's not that you don't have flaws, but what you're doing when you're so hard on yourself is you're negating all that good stuff that you have to offer this world." And I think it's really important for all of us to realize the good that we have to offer this world. Now, around the time of 14, 15 years old, my nose started getting bigger. I guess. It just, my nose got big, okay? That's what happened. Bigger. And people would tease me about it. And I developed this complex about myself. But the thing is, my face grew into my nose. Like my face and the rest of my body grew so that my nose was no longer disproportionate to my face and my body. So, one thing you need to realize is that things may not always be the way that they are now. You can change. Physically, you can change, and you can change in other ways. And here's the thing about physical flaws. Everybody has their flaws. For example, Jay Leno, Adele, even the most beautiful people in the world have their physical flaws. And some people's physical flaws are that their voice is high-pitched or lower pitched than they want it to be, or whatever the case may be, right? And this is the thing about voices, right? I used to be really insecure about the way my voice sounded, but what if you are insecure about your voice, but you have something to say? What if you're insecure about your voice, but you have something to say? And so when we talk about insecurities, we also need to bring in this conversation about courage. The courage to push through your insecurities. Jimi Hendrix, speaking of voices, did not like the sound of his voice, but he pushed through, and because of that, we all get to enjoy his amazing music. One time I went to this event where there was a number of YouTubers there. I went as a fan, and I saw these big-time YouTubers, and they look like really normal people, and I was like, well, they just look very ordinary, and they're not what people would call quote-unquote beautiful people, and regardless of if they were attractive or not attractive in the conventional sense, they created YouTube videos, and because of that, they made a career for themselves, put out content for people to ingest, and they pushed through whatever insecurities that they had. So sometimes we have to dial into courage in order to put out the things in this world that we need to share and affect people and bring about positive change, and also to see our dreams come true. And the thing is, I have friends who are overweight. I have friends who have disabilities. I have friends who make bad choices in romantic partners. I have friends that take jokes too far. I have friends who have flaws, but I still love those friends. And I gotta love them as a whole person. And in that same way, you have to love yourself as a whole person, flaws and all. And one trick to loving yourself is running with blinders on, not playing the comparison game. Now, I found this quote on the internet, and it was so powerful that I just felt like I needed to read the whole quote out. It's by a lady named Marlo Thomas. Here's the quote. I raised you to be a thoroughbred. When thoroughbreds run, they wear blinders to keep their eyes focused straight ahead with no distractions, no other horses. They hear the crowd, but they don't listen. They just run their own race. That's what you have to do. Don't listen to anyone comparing you to me or to anyone else. You just run your own race. And that's what each of us has to do. We have to run our own race, to stop playing the comparison game, to shut off things that make you feel insecure. And maybe it's a good idea for you to take a break from social media. Maybe that's what's best for you mentally. See, I have a friend who's a beautiful woman, and she turned her Facebook profile off, which, no problem. But I just asked her out of curiosity why she did that. And she told me because there are so many beautiful women on Facebook, and she finds herself comparing herself to them. And I said to myself and to her, you're a beautiful woman too. But if that's what you need to do to deal with your insecurities, then do that. Because at the end of the day, it's all about taking care of your mental health. So make sure that you make that your number one priority. All right, that's all I got for now. If you're enjoying this podcast, don't forget to hit the follow button so you don't miss future episodes. And if you have someone in your life that needs to hear this message, please make sure to share it with them. All right, so that's all I got for now. Until next time, Peace.